Okay, next we're going to learn how to measure amperage using the amp clamp. Now, for direct current, we need to be a little bit concerned about which way the current is flowing. And so it's important that we orient the meter or the clamp correctly. It's very easy to get it 180 degrees out on the wire. And depending upon what you're measuring, this could be an important factor because we want to know which way the current is flowing. So you have to orient the meter correctly. This is not an issue with AC amperage, it's only a matter for direct current, which is flowing in one direction. In the case of AC current, it's actually going back and forth. So it's a little bit different phenomenon. All the meters are going to have some means to help you determine which way to put the clamp on. This particular spirometer has a very small decal on it that is actually pointing to DC positive. So you would orient the clamp on the cable you're testing towards the source of power, or the DC positive, in this case the battery on the boat. The next thing we need to concern ourselves with is the scale. This particular meter has two scales. It's got a 1000 amp scale and a 600 amp scale. So we're going to be measuring very low values here. We're going to go on the 600 amp scale. And then the other thing that's important is to zero it out. Most of the meters will have a zeroing button so that you can start out at zero, because it will hold, it'll measure peak current and it will hold that value until you zero out your meter. So I'm zeroing it out now. We can see the zero. Actually, I'm getting a little tiny reading, which, by the way, you shouldn't get too concerned with. It's going to happen on all meters, and it'll vary from one meter to another. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is clamp this, the amp clamp around the DC positive cable coming from the battery. I have some electronic equipment turned on right now, and we're going to measure how much amperage my VHF radio and my GPS chart plotter are drawing in standby mode. So let's see what we end up with. Okay, I'm clamped around the DC positive cable. My arrow, my plus arrow, is pointing towards the post, and I'm getting a reading of 1.1 amps. Basically, all that's telling me is that my electronic equipment on this particular boat in a standby mode is drawing a little bit over 1 amp of electrical current from the battery as we just sit here. Alright, so that's nice information to have. We are in standby mode. The VHF isn't broadcasting. The radar is not turned on, but we do have the chart plotter, the depth finder, and the VHF radio in receive mode running at this point, and we're only drawing 1.1 amp of electrical current. That's really good, and it's nice information to have, because if you're offshore and you're not running your anchors for a while, but you're running your electronic equipment, it's nice to get a feel for how much current you're using, and that can be correlated to how long you can actually run the equipment without having a DC charging source activated.